Right now, 47 million American households are one broken furnace away from poverty in retirement. Not someday, today. And most of them don't know it yet. You've been told to save, invest, contribute to your 401k. You did everything right. But the math doesn't work anymore. The system that promised you a dignified retirement is running on fumes, and the people managing it know the tank is almost empty. In 2033, just 8 years from now, Social Security's trust fund hits zero. When that happens, every check gets cut by 23% immediately. No warning, no grandfather clause. If you're counting on $2,000 a month, you'll get $1,540. And that's if Congress does nothing, which is exactly what they've been doing. This isn't a prediction. This is actuarial math from the Social Security Administration itself. The checks are already bouncing. We just haven't opened the envelopes yet. Here's what we're going to walk through. First, the story of what happened the last time a generation believed their retirement was secure and woke up to find the promises were smoke. Then the mechanics. Who built this system, why it's collapsing now, and who's holding the bag when it does. We'll look at what's happening in 2025, the quiet signals that only show up in the data, not the headlines. Then we'll map the timeline, what the next few years look like as this unravels. And finally, what you can actually do about it, even if you're starting late. This isn't about panic, it's about pattern recognition. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. August 1981, New York City. A man named Harold sits in his kitchen, reading a letter from his pension fund. He's 68. He worked 42 years at the same steel mill in Pennsylvania. The pension was supposed to pay $800 a month, enough with Social Security to live on. The letter says the fund is insolvent. His monthly check is now $240. Harold didn't gamble, didn't make bad choices. He showed up, clocked in, trusted the system. The mill's pension was a defined benefit plan, promised, guaranteed, locked in. Except the company never funded it properly. When steel collapsed in the 70s, the pension went with it. The Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation stepped in, but it only covered a fraction. Harold went back to work. Night shifts at a warehouse. At 68, he worked until 74, when his heart gave out in the middle of a December shift. This wasn't a rare story. Between 1975 and 1990, over 90,000 U.S. companies terminated their pension plans. Millions of workers like Harold were told, the money's not there. It didn't matter that they'd earned it. The promises were made in good times. The bills came due in bad ones. And when the choice was between keeping the lights on or honoring the pension, companies picked survival. That crisis created the 401k system we have today. It was supposed to fix this, put retirement in your hands, not theirs. But the real fix was simpler. It transferred the risk. Your company doesn't promise you anything anymore. If the market crashes the year you retire, that's your problem now. And here's the part that connects to today. The 401k system assumes you'll save enough, invest wisely, and time the market perfectly. Most people do none of those things. Here's how it's supposed to work. You contribute to Social Security your whole life. The government pools that money, invests it, and pays it back when you retire. It's a generational contract. Workers today fund retirees today, and tomorrow's workers fund you. The system works when you have more workers than retirees. In 1960, there were 5 workers for every retiree. Today, it's 3. By 2035, it'll be 2. The math breaks. The trust fund was the buffer. For decades, Social Security collected more than it paid out. The surplus went into a trust fund, bonds backed by the Treasury. That fund peaks in 2021 at $2.9 trillion. Then it starts draining. By 2033, it's gone. At that point, payroll taxes cover only 77% of promised benefits, so either taxes go up, benefits get cut, or the retirement age rises. There is no fourth option. This is the same pattern Harold lived through, just one layer higher. A promise made when demographics were favorable, coming due when they're not. The difference is scale. Social Security covers 67 million people. When it cuts benefits, it doesn't just hurt retirees, it collapses spending across the entire economy. Then there's the private side. Only 55% of American households will have enough saved to retire at 65 without running out of money. That's not a guess. That's Morningstar's model, built on real savings data. For minorities, it's worse. 59% of black households and 61% of Hispanic households will run short. Why? Because the median 401k balance for someone in their 60s is $200,000. Sounds decent until you realize that generates maybe $800 a month if you follow the 4% withdrawal rule. Add Social Security, average check is $1,900, and you're at $2,700 a month. Meanwhile, median rent for a one-bedroom apartment is $1,750. Healthcare for a couple in retirement costs $315,000 over 20 years. The math doesn't close. The system assumes you'll own your home outright, have minimal debt, and live cheaply. But 16% of households over 50 are spending more than half their income on housing alone. Mortgage debt for Americans 65 plus has tripled since 2000. People are retiring into debt, not out of it. And inflation is accelerating. Between 2020 and 2024, the cost of food, housing, and healthcare rose over 30%. Wages didn't, savings didn't, Social Security adjustments didn't keep pace. Every year, your dollar buys less and your runway shortens. Here's who benefits: the financial system. The shift to 401ks created a $10 trillion industry managing your retirement savings. Every transaction, every rebalance, every advisory fee, it flows upward. You take the risk. They take the cut. If your account doubles, they win. If it crashes, you lose. But they still get paid along the way. And here's who pays: you. Harold's generation got burned when companies walked away. Your generation gets burned because there's nothing to walk away from. The promise isn't guaranteed anymore. It's probabilistic, and the probabilities are bad. So that was the setup. Now here's where we are. As of late 2025, U.S. household debt sits at $18.6 trillion. Mortgages, student loans, credit cards. 76% of workers say debt is the primary reason they can't save for retirement. Not lack of income, debt. Interest rates are holding near 4% on the 10-year Treasury. Mortgage rates are around 7%. That means if you bought a home in the last 2 years, your monthly payment is 40% higher than it would have been in 2020 for the same house. For retirees trying to downsize or tap home equity, half get denied. The housing market is frozen. Inventory is at a 14-year low. People are trapped in homes they can't afford but can't sell. Inflation is still running above 2%. The Fed's core PCE measure is projected at 2.7% for 2026. That's not hyperinflation, but it's corrosive. It means every year your fixed income buys 2 to 3% less. Over 10 years, that's 25% of your purchasing power gone. For someone on a fixed pension or Social Security, that's devastating. Now look at sentiment. Only 35% of non-retirees say their retirement savings are on track. That's down from over 40% pre-pandemic. Among younger workers, ages 18 to 29, only 23% feel prepared. For Black workers, 26%. The confidence gap is widening, and here's the signal that should scare you. 61% of current retirees say missing even half of one Social Security check would be financially unaffordable. Not inconvenient, unaffordable. That's how thin the margins are. Meanwhile, the labour market is bifurcating. Nearly all job growth since 2020 has gone to higher earners. Middle and lower wage jobs are stagnant or declining. That means fewer people contributing to retirement, more people scraping by. The base of the pyramid is cracking. Globally, this isn't just an American problem. The OECD projects that by 2050, there will be 52 people over 65 for every 100 working-age adults, up from 33 today. Every developed country is facing the same math: aging populations, underfunded systems, and political paralysis. Governments are responding, but incrementally. Chile just overhauled its pension system, raising contributions, blending public and private funding. Ireland launched auto-enrollment. These are patches. The structural problem: too many retirees, too few workers, too little saved, remains. Gold is near all-time highs. Bitcoin is volatile, but holding elevated levels. These aren't coincidences. When confidence in fiat systems erodes, people move to harder assets. It's not a crash signal yet, but it's a distrust signal. This is the moment before the break, not chaos, just tension, systems running on momentum, promises that haven't been tested yet, but the test is coming. Here's how this plays out over the next few years. First phase, the squeeze. Over the next 18 to 24 months, inflation stays stubborn. The Fed holds rates higher for longer, housing stays expensive, debt stays heavy. More households start tapping retirement accounts early, pulling money out to cover bills, taking the penalties, shrinking their runway. Retirement account withdrawals are already up 14% year over year. That accelerates. It's quiet, no headlines, just people making hard choices in private. Second phase, the wake-up. By 2027 or 2028, the Social Security Trust Fund depletion becomes a political crisis. Congress debates solutions: raise the payroll tax cap, cut benefits, increase the retirement age to 69 or 70. Every option is painful. Every option has opposition. Likely outcome: a compromise that does all three, just enough to push the problem past the next election cycle. Benefits get trimmed, taxes go up modestly, retirement age rises, retirees feel it, workers feel it, consumer spending softens, the economy slows. Third phase, the adjustment. By the early 2030s, we're in a new normal. Retirement at 65 is a luxury, not a standard. Most people work into their late 60s or early 70s, not by choice, but by necessity. Multi-generational households have become common again. Adult children supporting aging parents, the safety net phrase. Means-tested programs expand, but not enough. The gap between those who saved aggressively and those who couldn't widens into a chasm. Now, could it be better? Yes. If productivity surges, AI, automation, and GDP growth accelerates, the tax base expands. More revenue, less strain. If Congress acts early and decisively, the cuts are smaller, the adjustments smoother. If housing supply increases and costs drop, retirees have more breathing room. Best case, we muddle through. It's painful, but not catastrophic. Could it be worse? Absolutely. If we hit a recession in the next few years, unemployment spikes, tax revenues collapse, and the trust fund drains faster. Benefits get cut deeper, sooner. If inflation stays elevated or reignites, fixed incomes get crushed. If the political system stays gridlocked, we sleepwalk into 2033 and the cuts happen automatically. No plan, just chaos. Worst case, a full-blown retirement crisis, millions of seniors in poverty, a collapse in consumer spending, a generation that worked their whole lives ending in financial ruin. The base case is somewhere in the middle. It's not collapsing, but it's declining. A slow erosion of security. The promise of retirement becomes conditional, not guaranteed. And the burden shifts from the state to the individual, from the collective to the family, from the system to you. So what do? First, accept the reality. The system is not going to save you. Social Security will be there, but smaller. Your 401k is your responsibility, and most people don't have enough. If you're waiting for a policy fix or a market miracle, you're gambling. This is not financial advice. I'm not your advisor, but here's the logic. Hope is not a strategy. Second, boost your savings right now. If you're contributing 5% to your 401k, go to 10%. If you're at 10%, go to 15%. Every percentage point matters over decades. If you're young, you have time. If you're older, you need aggression. Catch-up contributions exist for a reason. Max them out if you can. Third, diversify beyond traditional accounts. A 401k is great, but it's not enough. Consider assets that hedge inflation, real estate, commodities, even a small allocation to gold or Bitcoin if you understand the risks. Don't go all in on anything, but don't stay all in on paper assets that assume stable markets and stable governments. Fourth, kill your debt. If you're carrying high-interest credit card debt or car loans, those are fires burning through your future. Pay them off aggressively. Mortgage debt is more forgivable, but if you're approaching retirement with a big mortgage, you're starting behind. Fifth, plan to work longer. I know that's not what you want to hear, but delaying retirement from 65 to 70 cuts your risk of running out of money almost in half. It gives your savings 5 more years to grow, 5 fewer years to drain, and it increases your Social Security benefit by 8% per year you delay. If your health allows it, working longer is the single biggest lever you have. Sixth, get real about your expenses. Run the numbers. What will you actually need per month in retirement? Housing, healthcare, food, insurance. Be honest. Then compare that to your projected income. Social Security, 401k withdrawals, pensions if you have one. If there's a gap, you need to close it, either by saving more now or cutting costs later. Downsizing, relocating to a cheaper state, sharing housing. These aren't fun conversations, but they're necessary ones. Seventh, educate yourself. Read, learn, understand how compound interest works, how inflation erodes value, how withdrawal rates affect longevity. The more you know, the better decisions you make. Ignorance is expensive in this game. And finally, don't do this alone. Talk to a financial advisor if you can afford one. Talk to your family, make a plan, update it every year. Retirement isn't something that happens to you. It's something you build piece by piece, year by year. And if you're behind, that's okay. Start now. Late is better than never. I can already hear the pushback. This is fear-mongering. The system always recovers. They said Social Security would collapse in the 80s, and it's still here. Fair point. But here's the difference. In the 80s, the worker-to-retiree ratio was still favorable. Congress raised the retirement age, increased payroll taxes, and kicked the can down the road. It worked because demographics were on their side. Today, demographics are against us. There are fewer workers per retiree, and that gap is widening. You can't kick the can when you're out of road. But the government will just print money or raise taxes, maybe. But printing money means inflation, which destroys your savings in a different way. Raising taxes slows the economy, which shrinks the tax base, which makes the problem worse. There's no free lunch. Every solution has a cost and somebody pays it. Usually it's the middle class. What if I'm wrong? What if markets boom and everything's fine? Then you're prepared and you have more than you need. That's not a bad problem. But here's the logic. If I'm half right, the downside is catastrophic. If I'm completely wrong, the downside is you save too much. Asymmetric risk, the smart bet is to prepare. Retirement has always been hard. People have always struggled. True. But previous generations had pensions, lower healthcare costs, cheaper housing, and a social security system that was fully funded. They had safety nets. Today those nets have holes. You're expected to save more, invest smarter, and live longer, all while wages are stagnant and costs are rising. It's not the same game. The point isn't to panic, it's to recognize the pattern. When promises are made in good times and bills come due in bad ones, someone gets left holding the bag. History says it's usually not the people who made the promises. August 1981. Harold sits in that kitchen, holding a letter that says the money's not there. He trusted the system, he did everything right, and the system failed him anyway. Today, 47 million households are sitting in that same kitchen. They just haven't opened the letter yet. The 2026 retirement crisis isn't coming. It's here. It's just unfolding slowly enough that most people don't see it. But the math is clear. The trust fund is draining. The savings are insufficient. The promises are breaking. And the people who need to fix it are waiting for someone else to go first. You can't control the system, but you can control your response to it. You can save more, work longer, cut debt, and plan smarter. You can recognize that the safety nets are fraying and build your own. Or you can hope it works out, hope that Congress acts, hope that markets soar. I hope that somehow the math changes. Hope is not a strategy. Preparation is. If this is connected, subscribe. We're tracking these patterns in real time, the signals the system doesn't want you to see, and share this with anyone who still believes the system will protect their savings. Because the greatest risk isn't the crisis. It's not knowing it's coming.